Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. For a while now, people have been talking about Cedar Point's newest coaster. 2022-2023, will it be a Gertslauer, a wooden coaster, a 500-foot RMC T-Rex? Well, I've been thinking, and I realize, it could totally be a family coaster. Before I discuss this being a family coaster, please subscribe to the channel so you know when new coaster content comes out. Now, I will begin by acknowledging that I would like it to be a major coaster personally as an enthusiast, but when you look at what Cedar Point's done in the past and what Cedar Fair as a whole seems to be doing, a family coaster is very likely is the next option for Cedar Point. Let's talk about Cedar Fair as a whole first of all. You may notice quite a few rides have kind of moved toward theming. They've done a few more dark rides recently than I think they normally would have. Copperhead Strike and Orion have elaborate queues. Snake River Expedition at Cedar Point, that's a themed boat ride, that's definitely something. And overall, the chain just seems to be moving in that direction. I also will point out that Cedar Point is kind of in need of a family coaster, so I can totally understand why they would want to. Given that the last one they built was Woodstock Express in 1999, and if you don't count main kiddie coasters, Iron Dragon in 1987 was the last one. That's 35 years. Obviously, a lot of parks had their family coasters when they were made and don't make a ton afterwards. Parks like Cedar Point especially don't really make a ton after, but it is good to note that it's been 35 years since the last one. Now, one very important note. I think the fact that Cedar Point has become incredibly popular mainly for its roller coasters, that is an audience that is guaranteed to attract the roller coaster enthusiasts and the thrill seekers. However, I think it's likely the park would want to start branching out more to the people who love Disney and Universal parks. I can understand where some would think they would not want to go this route, but trying to be able to appeal more to the family audience would be helpful, I think. Obviously, they have plenty of small kiddie rides, but if they had a decent family coaster, just added to their lineup, something like how Dollywood added a family coaster with Wildwood Grove, and they added some theming to this family coaster at Cedar Point, I think that could be really good for the park. So, will Cedar Point's next coaster be family-based? I think, especially if it goes in the Wicked Twister plot of land, which, as you probably know, is very small. I think it's very likely that a family coaster is the next coaster. Not a guarantee, this is theory, but I feel given Cedar Point's move toward theming, the fact that Cedar Point doesn't have a ton of family coasters, and the fact that it kind of would want to move toward that audience because it already appeals to the roller coaster junkies more than it needs to. So, we've already answered the question in the title. Will Cedar Point's next coaster be a family coaster? The answer is, possibly. But, we're not going to stop the video there. We're going to talk about what family coaster could be best at Cedar Point. Let me quickly shoot down one idea. Wild Mouse coasters. I don't think this needs an explanation. That's just not happening. Now, there are some actually interesting ideas for family coasters, good ones that I think would not be going to the park. The first I want to discuss is a spinning coaster, especially one by MACK. The reason a family spinning coaster would not be going to this park, two main reasons. The first is MACK Extreme Spinners. I think it is highly likely that Cedar Point will make one of these one day, and having two spinning coasters in one park may be weird. So they're definitely more likely to make an extreme spinner than a family spinner. The other reason is that I just don't see a new spinning coaster going to the park in a while. I understand a MACK possibly soon because MACK has been working with Cedar Fair, but I just don't think it's very likely, and I don't feel that is a great fit for the park either. A decent family coaster, of course, but I still think there are better family coasters that could go here, and the fact that it may not work too well with the Wicked Twister plot of land as well is also an issue. Another thing I want to shoot down, not necessarily a type of coaster, but just in general indoor coasters I don't see happening. I think it's highly unlikely Cedar Point would make a large building to house a coaster in, especially in the Wicked Twister plot of land, because that would be along the beach, and having a large building, if it's not fully themed, right next to the beach would not be the most pleasant sight. So that's two ideas I think are definitely not happening. Now there's one I want to kind of discuss that could happen, but I think probably will not. That is a family launch coaster. In the Wicked Twister plot of land, I don't see this happening at all. It just wouldn't work. It'd have to be a much larger, sprawling layout. But I don't think, even though Wicked Twister was a launch coaster, I don't think a family launch coaster needs to fill that gap. Though it would be a good fit for the park, I think, and it's hard to get much better than the family launch coaster as far as family coasters go. No matter what, we know it's not going to be Hagrid's by any means. But I still think, while it is a good idea to have that, it's not going to be their next family coaster, and it's not going to be their next coaster, and it probably will never happen. A family launch coaster may not be happening at all, but I still think it is an idea that could be pretty fun to add to the park. Definitely attract the family crowd. Now there's one idea I think is very likely. There's only one thing holding it back, but I think a Vekoma family inverted coaster, or a suspended family coaster, is a really good fit for the park and the Wicked Twister space. For those who don't know, Flying Ace Aerial Chase and Silver Streak, these are Cedar Fair family inverts that Vekoma's made. They're fine, but people much prefer Dragonflier and Dollywood. So I think one of the modern suspended coasters would be a really great fit for Cedar Point. It could probably fit in the layout based on Dragonflier's size. Dragonflier has beautiful landscaping and some small theming, so it would be very good for the area. I think if Cedar Point makes a few statues around it, that would be really good to theme it to something. Most likely some sort of monster theme. Just being along the beach makes you think if there's some sort of urban legend with Lake Erie, that would be very good. And it is a decently thrilling one for the enthusiasts to enjoy to an extent, but it's also just a very fun ride for the kids to enjoy. So I think a family invert by Vekoma is a very strong fit for Cedar Point as far as a family coaster would go. However, there is one other idea, also Vekoma, that I think would be even better, and that is a family boomerang. These are a little more interesting than the invert, I think. It would definitely attract crowds more. The idea of going forwards and backwards is definitely something that would attract the kids and make it a lot more interesting. These rides can be very well themed. Just look at Rake at Fantasialand. I think it'd be cool to do the similar theme that they would with the family invert. I just think it would be very fun. It would work with families. Both of these ideas would work, but I think a family boomerang would be a bit more fun and interesting. Now, the biggest issue with this is the fact that these are Vekomas, and we haven't seen a whole lot of that with Cedar Point lately. I don't know when the last Vekoma was that it was made with Cedar Point or Cedar Fair, but it's definitely been a while, and they've only really made older rides such as boomerangs, SLCs, and I guess Flying Dutchmans as the good ones. But I could see Vekoma working with Cedar Point or Cedar Fair as a whole again, because they have been really expanding in the market. They've mostly been working with European coasters, but they've expanded a little bit, as we're definitely seeing a little more. We saw Dollywood get Dragonflier, and it's likely we'll be seeing more Vekomas come to the States, and I think Cedar Point would want to be one of the pioneers with that in the States. So I can definitely see a Vekoma, even if it's a family coaster, coming here soon. So overall, I think Cedar Point's next roller coaster could be a Vekoma family invert or a Vekoma family boomerang. Either of these I think would be very, very fun, and definitely ones that could attract the kids and really turn Cedar Point into an all-ages resort that anybody would want to visit. And while I do still kind of hope for new big thrilling coasters, if a new ride is to go in the Wicked Twister plot of land next, and it's not going to be the Gertslauer, I definitely think we could see Cedar Point adding a new family coaster. Those are my ideas. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this theory. Comment any ideas you have about family coasters or coasters as a whole coming to Cedar Point down below. Subscribe to the channel so you know when new roller coaster content comes out. I will see you next time.